Help me reach 3,000 subscribers. Hit like and leave a comment. I really do read them all. The kitchen smelled of burnt toast and spilled coffee grounds, a typical Monday morning mess in our Denver apartment. I leaned against the counter, scrolling through my phone, trying to decode the check engine light on my truck for the third time this month. Emily sat at the table, her laptop open, fingers tapping with that deliberate rhythm she used to look busy while doing nothing. The air was heavy, not from the heat, but from her unspoken irritation, like a storm brewing. She sighed, loud and pointed, making sure I noticed. "You're just gonna stand there, huh?" she said, eyes glued to her screen. I glanced over, keeping my tone even. "What's that supposed to mean?" She shrugged, not looking up. "Nothing. Just thought you'd, do something useful for once." I set my phone down on the counter, the plastic case clicking against the granite. Useful. Like the last 10 years of paying for this overpriced place, her leased BMW, her endless streaming subscriptions didn't count. I took a sip of my coffee, cold, bitter, and pushed back. "Funny. I thought keeping a roof over our heads was pretty useful. You got a different definition?" She smirked, still avoiding my eyes. "Oh, come on, Mark. Don't get all sensitive. I'm just saying, it'd be nice if you didn't just take up space in my world." My world. Our names were both on the lease. But lately, she'd been acting like I was a guest who'd overstayed his welcome. I leaned forward, elbows on the counter. "Your world? Last I checked, I'm the one signing the checks for it." She finally looked up, eyes narrowing. "Wow, really? You're gonna pull the money card? That's low, even for you." I didn't flinch, stirring my coffee with a spoon. "You brought it up, Emily. I'm just following your lead." She rolled her eyes, slamming her laptop shut with a snap that echoed in the quiet kitchen. "Whatever. I'm not in the mood for this." She stood, grabbed her mug, and dumped the coffee in the sink, half full, just to make a point. The liquid splashed against the stainless steel. "I've got a meeting. Try not to break anything while I'm gone." The door clicked shut behind her. I stood there, staring at the sink, her mug sitting in a puddle of brown liquid. That was the first crack, the moment I realized she wasn't just tired or stressed. She was rewriting our marriage, and I was supposed to nod along. If I'd known how much worse it'd get, I'd have started packing right then. I'm telling you this now, man, because it's the kind of thing you don't see coming. You think it's just a bad day, a rough patch. But it's not. It's a signal. And if I'd known what she'd pull next, I'd have saved myself months of hell. I spent the morning in the garage, the smell of oil and metal grounding me as I messed with the truck's diagnostic codes. The hum of the engine kept my head clear while I chewed on her words. By noon, I'd had enough. I wasn't waiting for her next shot. I sent her a text. "We need to talk tonight. 7 p.m. I'll cook." Short, direct. No chasing, no begging. If she wanted to play games, I'd set the table. That evening, I grilled steaks, kept it simple, salt, pepper, a hot cast iron skillet. The kitchen filled with the smell of charred meat and rosemary. Emily came home at 6:58, dropped her bag by the door with a thud, and didn't say a word. I plated the food, poured 2 glasses of red wine, and sat down. She scrolled through her phone, ignoring the plate in front of her, her thumb flicking across the screen. So, I started, cutting into my steak, the knife scraping the plate. "What's with the attitude this morning?" She didn't look up. "Attitude? I was just being honest. You're always so defensive." I chewed slowly, watching her. "Honest. Okay, let's try that. You've been acting like I'm your tenant, not your husband. What's going on?" She put her phone down, leaning back with a sigh, her chair creaking. "Mark, I'm just tired. You're always working, always in your own head. I feel like I'm carrying everything here." I almost laughed. Carrying everything? I paid the rent, utilities, her car insurance. I fixed the leaky faucet, mowed the lawn, dealt with the landlord's endless complaints. But I didn't take the bait. If you're tired, say it. Don't take shots at me to feel better. She tilted her head, a fake smile curling her lips. "Oh, so now I'm the bad guy? You're perfect, right?" I set my fork down, the metal clinking against the plate. "No, but I'm not your punching bag. You want to talk? Talk. You want to jab? I'm not playing." She stared at me, eyes cold. "Fine. Maybe I just need some space." I nodded, pushing my plate away, the steak half eaten. "You got it." I stood, grabbed my glass of wine, and headed for the guest room. "I'll sleep here tonight. Let me know when you're ready to act like an adult. Her jaw tightened, her fingers gripping the edge of the table. She didn't say a word. I closed the door behind me, the lock clicking softly. That was my first move. No chasing, no second ask. She wanted space? I'd give her more than she bargained for. The next week was a silent war. Emily started leaving earlier, coming home later, offering nothing but a vague, "work's crazy," when I asked. I didn't push. Instead, I took control of my own time. I switched my gym sessions to mornings, stopped texting her during the day. If she wanted distance, I'd give it, on my terms. Friday night, we were supposed to meet friends at the local, a bar downtown with sticky tables and overpriced craft beer. Jake and Sarah, our neighbors, were there, along with Emily's co-worker Ryan and his girlfriend, Lisa. I got there early, grabbed a hazy IPA, and leaned against the bar, chatting with Jake about his new F-150. The jukebox blared some old Tom Petty, and the place smelled like fried onions and spilled beer. Emily showed up 20 minutes late, breezing in with that fake laugh she used to charm a room. She slid into the booth next to me, her purse hitting the table with a thud, but her body was angled away, like I was an afterthought. Sarah, always trying to keep things light, jumped in. "So, Mark, how's that truck project going? You still tinkering?" I grinned, wiping foam off my lip with my thumb. "Yeah, got the codes cleared. Runs smooth now." Emily snorted, loud enough for the whole table to hear. "Runs? That thing's a money pit. You spend more time under the hood than with me." The table went quiet, the clink of glasses pausing. Jake raised an eyebrow, sipping his beer. Sarah stared at her fries, her fork hovering. Ryan smirked, leaning back in his seat. Lisa glanced at Emily, then looked away, twisting a napkin in her hands. I leaned back, keeping my voice steady, setting my glass down with a soft clunk. "Funny, I didn't realize you were counting the hours. Thought you were too busy with your meetings." Emily's smile faltered, but she recovered fast, twirling her wine glass. "Oh, come on, Mark. Don't be so sensitive. It's just a joke." I locked eyes with her, my fingers tapping the table. Jokes are supposed to be funny. That one missed. Jake coughed, hiding a grin behind his beer. "Damn, Mark, you don't mess around." Sarah shot Emily a look, her voice soft but pointed. Maybe ease up. Mark's been busting his ass." Emily rolled her eyes, sipping her wine. "Oh, please. He's fine. Right, Mark?" I leaned forward, voice calm but sharp. "I'm fine, but I don't sit here for bad comedy. You got something to say it straight." Ryan leaned in, smirking wider. "Hey, man, she's just keeping you honest. Chill." I turned to him, slow and deliberate, my elbow brushing the table. "She doesn't need to. I do that myself." Lisa finally spoke, her voice quiet but curious. "Emily, you guys okay? You've been kinda tense." Emily laughed, too loud, waving her off. "We're fine, Lisa. Mark's just in one of his moods." I pushed my chair back, the legs scraping the floor. "Nah, I'm just done playing along." I stood, dropped a 20 on the table, the bill fluttering down. "I'm heading out. Enjoy your night." Emily's eyes widened, her glass pausing midair. "What? You're leaving?" "Yeah," I said, grabbing my jacket from the booth. "I don't stick around for cheap shots." Jake called after me, his voice half amused. "You good, man?" I didn't turn back, zipping my jacket. "Never better." Sarah's voice followed, softer. "Mark, you sure?" I waved a hand, already at the door. "All good, Sarah. Catch you later." That was the public boundary. No yelling, no scene. Just a clear line. You don't get to jab at me in front of people and expect me to smile. I drove home, cranked some Springsteen, the city lights blurring past. She wasn't going to change. I wasn't going to beg. Time to shift the game. Monday morning, I called my accountant. Emily and I had a joint account for bills, but I'd always kept a separate one for my consulting gigs. I told him to redirect my direct deposits to my personal account. No more shared pool. If she wanted to play queen, she could fund her own kingdom. I didn't tell her. She'd notice when the credit card bill hit. That evening, she came home, tossed her keys on the counter with a clatter, and went straight for the fridge. "You didn't get groceries?" she asked, like I was her errand boy. "Nope," I said, flipping through a car magazine, the pages rustling. "Figured you'd want to handle that, since you're so busy carrying everything." She froze, fridge door open, the light casting her shadow on the floor. What's that supposed to mean? I didn't look up, circling an ad for a carburetor. Exactly what I said. You're a big girl. You got this. She slammed the door shut, the jars inside rattling. You're being ridiculous. What's your problem? No problem, I said, turning a page. Just giving you the space you asked for. She stood there, hands on her hips, waiting for me to crack. I didn't. Finally, she stormed off, muttering, "You're impossible." I smiled to myself. That was initiative number one. I wasn't waiting for her next shot. I was changing the rules. Emily didn't like the new setup. She started leaving post-it notes around the apartment, little passive-aggressive jabs. Don't forget to take out the trash. Maybe try cleaning the bathroom for once. Like I was her kid, not her husband. I didn't argue. I tossed the notes in the trash, their yellow corners crumpling, and kept my routine tight. Work, gym, garage. My life, my terms. Wednesday, I was at the warehouse, unloading a shipment of auto parts with Mike and a new guy, Dan, who'd just started. The air smelled of cardboard and diesel, and the forklift hummed in the background. Mike noticed I was quieter, tossing boxes with more force than usual. During a break, he leaned against a pallet, wiping sweat off his forehead. "Yo, Mark, you good? You're throwing those boxes like they owe you money." I laughed, cracking open a water bottle. Just working out some frustration. Dan, a lanky guy with a goatee, looked up from his phone. "Wife trouble?" I shrugged, taking a swig. "Something like that." Mike grinned, shaking his head. "Emily again? Man, she's got you on a leash." I set the bottle down, the plastic crinkling. "Nah, I'm cutting the leash. She's been rewriting the rules, and I'm done signing." Dan raised an eyebrow, curious. "What's she doing? Nagging you to death?" I leaned against a crate, crossing my arms. "Not nagging. Controlling. Little jabs, public shots, acting like I'm her employee. I'm rearranging things. Starting with my time." Mike whistled, tossing a rag over his shoulder. "Damn, you gonna talk it out?" "No," I said, picking up another box. "Talking's over. I'm moving." Dan smirked, skeptical. "Moving? Like out? That's bold, man. You sure she's not just stressed?" I set the box down, harder than necessary. Stressed doesn't make you rewrite a marriage. She wants control. She can have it, without me. Mike nodded, slow and thoughtful. "Respect. You do you, man." Dan shook his head, still grinning. "Hope you got a good lawyer." I didn't respond, just grabbed the next box. That was initiative number 2, taking control of my narrative, even at work. I wasn't hiding, wasn't complaining. I was laying the groundwork, letting the people around me know I was done playing Emily's game. The company barbecue at Ryan's place came that weekend. Emily insisted we go, said it'd be good for networking. I wasn't thrilled, but I went, figuring it'd show me how far she'd push. Ryan lived in a fancy suburb, his backyard decked out with string lights, a kegerator, and a fire pit. The crowd was a mix of Emily's co-workers, neighbors, and a few strangers. I grabbed a beer and stuck to the edges, chatting with Tom, a guy who restored vintage Mustangs. Emily was in her element, flitting between groups, her laugh cutting through the hum of conversation. I caught her glancing at me, like she was waiting for me to join her performance. Halfway through the evening, she sauntered over, a glass of wine in her hand, her heels clicking on the patio. "Mark, you're so antisocial," she said, loud enough for Tom and a few others to hear. "Why don't you mingle? Or is that too much effort?" Tom raised an eyebrow, sipping his beer. I set my bottle down on a nearby table, the glass clinking. "I'm good right here. Not everyone needs an audience." She laughed, sharp and forced, swirling her wine. "Oh, please. You're just sulking because I called you out on your truck obsession." The group around us went quiet. Tom shifted, glancing at his wife, Karen, who was pretending to check her phone. Another coworker, Jen, frowned, looking between us. I stepped closer to Emily, voice low but clear. "You want to talk about obsessions? How about your need to control every damn thing I do?" "I'm not your prop, Emily." Her smile froze, her fingers tightening on her glass. "Wow, Mark. Way to make a scene." "No scene," I said, grabbing my jacket from a chair, the fabric rustling. "Just a fact. I'm done playing your game." I nodded to Tom. "Good talking, man. I'm out." Tom nodded back, his voice low. "Take care, Mark." Karen looked up, hesitant. "You okay, Mark?" "All good," I said, heading for the gate. Emily called after me. You're embarrassing me. I turned, my hand on the gate handle. You're doing that all by yourself. As I walked to my truck, I heard Jen's voice, quiet but sharp. Emily, that was harsh. Emily's response was too low to catch, but I didn't care. I drove home, the night air cool through the open window. That was the public boundary, round two. No yelling, no begging. Just a line in the sand, clear for everyone to see. The tension kept building. Emily's jabs got sharper, her tactics sneakier. She'd leave voicemails for her friends, loud enough for me to hear, complaining about how distant I was. She'd forget to tell me about plans, then blame me for not showing up. It was all about control, making me feel like I was failing her. But I wasn't playing anymore. The dinner party at Sarah and Jake's was the tipping point. They'd invited neighbors, some mutual friends, and Emily's coworker Lisa. Emily pushed for us to go, said it'd be good for us. I went, but I was on edge, watching for her next move. The dining room smelled of grilled burgers and fresh bread, the table cluttered with plates and beer bottles. Jake was telling a story about a fishing trip, his hands animated. Sarah passed around a salad bowl, her smile strained. Emily was in performance mode, laughing too loud, her wine glass always in hand. Halfway through dinner, she leaned over to Sarah, loud enough for the table to hear. Mark's been so distant lately. I swear, it's like living with a ghost. Sarah paused, her spoon hovering over the salad. Jake shot me a glance, his fork still. I took a bite of my burger, kept my face neutral. Funny, I said, loud enough for everyone. I thought ghosts were supposed to haunt. I'm just trying to keep the peace. Emily's smile tightened, her fingers tapping her glass. Oh, come on, Mark. Don't play the victim. I'm just saying you've been checked out. The table went quiet, forks clinking awkwardly. Lisa frowned, setting her beard down. That's not fair. Mark's here, isn't he? I leaned forward, looking at Emily. Checked out? That's rich, coming from someone who's been rewriting our marriage as a solo act. You want to air this out? Let's do it. But don't expect me to sit here and take it. Sarah's eyes widened, her napkin crumpling in her hand. Jake smirked, leaning back. Damn, Mark. You don't hold back. Emily's face went red, but she laughed it off, her voice sharp. Wow, dramatic much? It's just an observation. Lisa shook her head, her voice soft but firm. It's not just an observation, Em. You've been kinda harsh lately. A neighbor, Tom, cleared his throat, trying to pivot. So, Jake, how's that new truck? I didn't let it slide. I stood, grabbing my jacket from the chair, the wood creaking. No, it's a pattern, and I'm done playing along. I nodded to Jake and Sarah. Thanks for the food. I'm out. Emily called after me, her voice rising. Mark, don't make a scene. I turned at the door, voice calm but firm. You made the scene. I'm just closing the curtain. I walked out, the night air hitting me like a reset button. As I reached my truck, I heard Sarah's voice through the open window. Em, what was that? You can't just do that. Emily's response was sharp, defensive. He's overreacting. He always does. I didn't stick around to hear more. That was the public boundary, round 3. No yelling, no begging. Just a line in the sand, clear for everyone to see. When I got home, I started packing. Not everything, just the essentials, clothes, laptop, my tools from the garage. I wasn't leaving yet, but I wanted to be ready. Emily came home an hour later, slamming the door. What the hell was that? She snapped, storming into the living room, her heels clicking on the hardwood. I kept folding a shirt, the fabric soft under my hands. What? You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You just walked out like some jerk. I set the shirt down, met her eyes. You embarrassed yourself. You don't get to drag me through the mud and expect me to smile about it. She crossed her arms, voice dripping with sarcasm. Oh, poor Mark. Always so misunderstood. Maybe if you actually cared about me, we wouldn't be here. That was the moment. The line I'd been waiting for. I stepped closer, voice low. I cared. I showed up. I paid the bills, fixed the truck, kept this place running. You? You just kept score. I'm done. She blinked, thrown off, her hands dropping to her sides. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm not your doormat. You want to run the show? Run it alone. I grabbed my bag, walked to the guest room, and locked the door, the click final. That was the breaking point. No more games. I was done waiting for her to fix this. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Not to make a scene, but to get the divorce papers ready. I wasn't telling Emily yet. She'd find out when the time was right. I met with Mike's contact about that one-bedroom apartment across town. It was small, nothing fancy, but it had a garage for my tools. I signed the lease that afternoon, the pen scratching against the paper. At work, I kept my head down, stacking crates with Mike and Dan. Mike noticed I was quieter, pulled me aside during a break, the warehouse air thick with dust. "Yo, Mark, you good? You're throwing those boxes like they owe you money." I laughed, cracking open a water bottle. "Just working out some frustration." Dan leaned against a pallet, curious. "Still Emily?" I nodded, wiping my mouth. "She's been rewriting the rules. I'm done signing her contracts." Mike whistled, tossing a rag over his shoulder. "You gonna talk it out?" "No," I said, tossing the bottle in the trash. "Talking's over. I'm moving." Dan smirked, skeptical. "Moving? Like out? That's a big move, man." I shrugged, grabbing another crate. "Not big enough." That night, Emily tried a new tactic. She came home, all soft and sweet, like nothing had happened. "Hey," she said, leaning against the kitchen counter, her purse still on her shoulder. "I was thinking we could do something this weekend. Maybe a trip? Just us." I didn't buy it. I was washing dishes, scrubbing a pan harder than necessary, the sponge squeaking. "A trip," I repeated, not turning around. "What's the catch?" She laughed, forced, stepping closer. "No catch. I just miss you." I set the pan down, water dripping onto the counter, and looked her dead in the eyes. "I already forgot when we were close." She froze, her face twisting. She stepped closer, voice sharp. "What's that supposed to mean? You want affection? Get a dog." I didn't flinch, drying my hands on a towel. "Good idea. At least a dog's loyal." I grabbed my keys, the metal jingling, and headed for the door. "I'm going for a drive. Don't wait up." That was it. The final nail. I drove to a diner, sat in a booth, the vinyl seat creaking, and called the lawyer again. "File the papers," I told him, the hum of the diner's jukebox in the background. "I'm done." Over the next week, I moved fast. I rented a storage unit for my tools, started moving my clothes and books while Emily was at work. No fights, no announcements. Just action. By Friday, I'd cleared out my side of the closet, my toolbox, my laptop. The apartment looked half empty, the walls echoing. I didn't care. I wasn't coming back. Emily came home that night, saw the boxes gone, and lost it. "What the hell is this?" she yelled, storming into the living room, her voice bouncing off the bare walls. "You're just leaving?" I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, my boots scuffing the hardwood. "Yeah, I told you I was done." She laughed, panicked, her hands flailing. "You can't just walk out. We're married, Mark. You don't get to just quit." I stepped forward, voice calm but cold. "You quit first. Every time you took a shot, every time you rewrote the rules, you quit. I'm just making it official." She tried to pivot, eyes welling up, her voice softening. "Mark, come on. We can work this out. Let's talk." "No." I cut her off, my hand on my bag strap. I said it once. I don't repeat myself. "You wanted control? You got it. This place is yours." I grabbed my last bag, walked to the door, the knob cool under my hand. "Papers are coming. Good luck." She stood there, mouth open, as I walked out. The door clicked shut behind me, and for the first time in months, I felt light. I moved into the new place that weekend. It was small, bare, with a faint smell of paint and old carpet. No post-it notes, no jabs, no games. I set up a desk, bought a new coffee maker, its gurgle filling the quiet mornings. Mike came by with a six-pack, and we watched a Broncos game on my shitty TV, the screen flickering. He didn't ask about Emily, and I didn't bring her up. It was done. A month later, I ran into Sarah at the grocery store, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. She was by the produce, weighing a bag of apples, and looked up when I grabbed a loaf of bread from the shelf. "Hey, Mark," she started, her voice hesitant, her cart squeaking as she pushed it closer. "How you holding up?" I shrugged, tossing the bread in my cart. "Better than ever." "You." She smiled, but it was sad, her fingers fidgeting with the apple bag. "Emily's been a mess. Keeps saying you abandoned her." I laughed, short and sharp, grabbing a carton of milk. "Abandoned? Nah. I just stopped playing her game." Sarah nodded, setting the apples in her cart. "Jake said you did the right thing. Said he saw it coming." "Jake's a smart guy," I said, pushing my cart forward. "Tell him I owe him a beer." A neighbor, Karen, appeared from the next aisle, her cart loaded with cereal boxes. She spotted us, hesitated, then walked over. "Mark, I heard you moved out. You okay?" I nodded, adjusting my cap. "Doing fine, Karen. Just keeping it simple." She glanced at Sarah, then back at me, her voice low. "Emily's been telling everyone you just up and left. But I saw how she was at the barbecue. She pushed too far." I shrugged, grabbing a pack of coffee grounds. She wrote the script. I just stopped reading. Sarah sighed, her shoulders slumping. "I tried talking to her, Mark. She thinks she can fix this, but I don't know. She can't," I said, my voice flat. "Some things don't get fixed." I nodded to them both. "Good seeing you. Take care." I walked away, their eyes on me as I headed for the checkout. Emily could spin whatever story she wanted. I didn't care. I wasn't in her orbit anymore. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. You don't walk away from 10 years without a few scars. But I sleep better. Work's steady, the truck's running, and I've got a new project in the garage. A '67 Mustang I'm fixing up, the engine gleaming under the shop light. Life's simple again. No games, no jabs, no chasing. Just me, my rules, my way.